You're listening to Storage Nerds Podcast, where we unravel the best-kept secret of the real estate investing world, the storage industry. Join the grassroots guru in self-storage, Stacy Rossetti, in insightful discussions about finding, funding, and running these spaces, allowing you to yield the highest returns possible. Get your foot in the door on self-storage and discover how to properly purchase facilities, negotiate with sellers, and close the deal without worries. Start unpacking that investment wisdom with Stacy right now.
Yeah, so welcome again for everybody that doesn't know who I am. I'm Stacy Rossetti, and I have been teaching people how to invest in self-storage for several years now. I also invest in self-storage together with my husband. His name is Pete, so you will hear his name a lot. And I'm the one that's responsible for finding and funding the storage facilities, and he is the one that is responsible for running them. So for instance, we're having a 2-day boot camp coming up on September 24th and 25th for all my students. And then he's going to actually come in and he'll spend like a day and a half really showing everybody how he manages his facilities. And he'll get into things like storage. I'm going to show you storage tonight because we're going to go over one of my deals. And I'll get into storage and kind of show you a little bit of it. But he does like a deep dive and really shows you how to set it up, how to utilize it to its fullest, right? Because the truth is that if you want to get into storage, then you really should make it as passive as possible. And the way that you make it as passive as possible is by utilizing everything that the software offers you. And the truth is that these softwares nowadays, they offer so much. But what I see time and time again is if facility owners actually use software to manage their properties, they are only really using it to put tenants in and to manage the tenants. But you can really, on the back end, you can manage like your auctions, you can manage your pricing, your revenue, you can manage your maintenance. There's really so much. You can manage mailings and like you can emailings and textings and just really so much that you can do. But most storage facility owners do not take advantage of this, at least the ones that I see in like, the secondary and the tertiary markets. Maybe in a primary market, they utilize it better, all these big companies and thing like this, but mom and pops tend to really not utilize this software. So if you're really kind of interested in like how true property management works inside the storage industry, then you should definitely be coming to this boot camp coming up on the 24th and 25th, because not only will I teach finding and funding facilities, but my husband will also be teaching the management part. Okay. So that is coming up. And so, so storagenerds.com is the website where you need to be going and applying for that. And I think the doors close. I'm pretty much full. Actually, I'm looking at my calendar right now and I'm full Tuesday and Wednesday, and I only have a few slots open on Thursday. Okay. So that's kind of it. And then I'm done. The doors close. Okay. All right. So, all right. And then let's see what else. Okay. And then right after this, just so everybody knows, you can go to stacyrossetti.com/fund, F-U-N-D, and that is where I'm going to be pitching my fund. So if you're listening to me today after this presentation and you're like, oh my gosh, this is way too much work, I just want to like give somebody my money and let them handle it, right? Then essentially that's what then that's what the fund is for. That's really what funds are. It's like, you don't want to get into the nitty gritty of like owning something, but you want to make money and reap the rewards of somebody managing a facility for you. Then that's what the fund is for. The Self-Storage Fund of America. I pitch it every Monday. So you're more than welcome to come listen in and see if it's a good fit. It's a 506C Reg D fund. So you have to be an accredited investor. Okay, that's the only thing. Okay, so you have to be an accredited investor, which is not a big deal, but you have to have like a net worth of $1 million, or you have to make at least $200,000 or $300,000, depending on what your income is. Okay, and the goal is for all of us to get there, right? That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to me. All of you, that's the goal is for me to help you get to that point where you can invest in funds, and then like you can just hand stuff off to people and let them manage your money, and you make money on the back end, right? So that's kind of how it works. So for everybody else, so I teach people how to get their very first deal, or their very, deals that are $1 million or less. So smaller facilities. Some of my students now, like the very first facility that everybody buys within my coaching program, pretty much $1 million or less, I would say. I've had a couple that were like, I had one that was like 1.3 million, but typically everybody's $1 million or less. And then the second facility could be $1 million or more, and I've got several students that are on their fourth, fifth, and sixth facility right now. And they're just like rocking and rolling and everything. But I focus on smaller secondary and tertiary markets just to get your foot in the door, get you an idea of how to run commercial deal analysis. And this is what I do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk today about, we're going to do deal analysis. Remember that over the past, for 12 weeks, and I don't know what number we're on anyways, but I've been going over all 12 of my deals, right? So I own 12 facilities, and I think we're on number like 4 or 5 or 6. I can't remember which one we're on, but we're going into one of the very first deals that I bought, and I picked this facility up for literally like hardly anything. Okay. And I'm going to show you now, this deal that I'm going to get into is, it's not a very big deal. I can't remember even how many units it is. I think it's 59 units. So it's not a super big, huge facility or anything. Okay. It was 50. But remember, this is like when I first started out. And actually, this one was brought to me by one of my realtor. Actually, not one of my, but by my realtor, Richard. If you follow me, you've heard of Richard before. I've been working with Richard for 10 years now, and he's pretty much brought me, if it's anything from the MLS that I buy from him, it's from Richard. Okay, so all the property, all the houses I used to renovate, and he still to this day he looks at anytime that there's a storage facility that comes on the market for the MLS, he always sends me that. Now, typically storage facilities do not get sold through the MLS. Okay, typically they're being sold like on Craigsy and LoopNet, right? That's like the commercial MLS, right? But every once in a while you'll get some some realtor that is like, let me just put it on, let me put it on the MLS. And most of the time, these are like smaller facilities, $1 million or less. Like rarely do you have like huge, large facilities that are going to be put on through the MLS in your state. Okay. And and the MLS, I mean, essentially when I say the MLS, because, I'm in Georgia. And so Richard, he can only look in like his MLS area. So it's really just like the Atlanta metro and wherever his area goes to, that's what he can see. And I think he has a way of seeing kind of all of Georgia, because I know he's kind of looked around and tried to send me stuff. But typically he gets up, and if there's anything that comes on the MLS in the Atlanta area and the areas that he kind of subscribes to, he sends those to me. Okay. And so he sent me this facility. It's in Warm Springs, Georgia. I'll show you where that is in a map, but it's like a little tiny town. So a lot of people ask me, like, can you buy like storage facilities in small towns? Like, can you buy in like little tiny towns? Because, I teach that you want to be focusing on secondary and tertiary markets, right? A secondary market to me personally would be like a population of 5,000 to, 25,000 to 100,000, right? Is kind of like, to me, a secondary market. Right, that'd be like a second market. So like that mid-size city range, okay, 25,000 to 100,000, okay, and then you have the tertiary markets, which is 25,000 or less than 25,000, okay. And so this town that I bought this storage facility in has 340 people in it. Okay, 340 people. Now that's just the town itself. Okay, actually we can look at the population and see if they've grown or if they've declined or whatever. Because a lot of people ask me, can I buy something in a super small town? Is it worth it or not? Well, I don't know. We'll look at it and see. We're going to use my new deal analyzer today. We'll look at it. We'll run the numbers and see if it's worth it or not. Now, obviously, it could be worth it if the price is right on the front end and what you can increase the rates to on the back end work. Okay. That's really kind of the key. But let's check and see. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm of the assumption that this is a very good deal, but I haven't run the numbers. Pete really kind of manages that on the back end. So let's run the numbers and see, what it looks like. Okay. And so I pick we'll look at how many. I think it's 59 units. It's 59 units, I'm pretty sure. And I bought it for $100,000. 59 units for $100,000. Okay. Now this must have been about 3 years ago. Okay. So I've been doing this for 5 years. And I think this was like, because remember, my first year, I bought one. My second year, I bought one. Okay. And then my third year, I bought two. And this is like one of the two that I bought. Right. So like, I'm just like, I tell everybody that I talk to, slow and steady wins the race. It's not easy to buy storage facilities, especially, getting started and good ones and stuff, unless you know how to syndicate and get out and partner up and stuff. But still, it's very difficult. Okay. Commercial real estate. So this is not like wholesaling and you could just like do this and that and whatever, right? This is slow and steady wins the race. Let's create our portfolio and build that up. Okay. So I bought this for $100,000 from Richard. Okay, the story behind this storage facility, and actually I'll bring up some pictures here, and so you guys can have a visual. If I can find something in Warm Springs, and I'm going to pull up my website as well too. Let me see, maybe it's in here. I'm going to pull up a visual because it might be better to just go onto my website. Actually, yeah, let's just do that. I think that's a good idea. I mean, it looks like a storage facility, you guys. I kind of like the color scheme. This is it. All right. And this is not all of it, but this is like one little section of it. Hang on. For some reason, it's not like pulling all the pictures up. So let's go back and let's try it. Let's look at this one here. This is it. You can see there's the orange over there. And then one of them is like, this one's brown. This must have been like in phases. I'm guessing like maybe it was phases because I don't know why they would do brown and then orange. Okay, now we have this. Okay, here's these as well too. It's got a small door, but these are actually 10 by 10s. So it's kind of like, it's like a weird thing. Like you open it and then they're kind of like bigger units too. And this is that one small one. These are 10 by 20s. And actually, you know what? This is good that we're looking at these. This is what I teach my students as well, is that visually, when you look at a storage facility, you could really, let me get rid of this stuff. You could really, oh my gosh. It's my website. Okay, you can visually look at a facility and you can tell kind of, how big it is. Now, obviously, you can also measure this on Google Maps, but you can see this is a bigger door, and there's no, it looks like it's pretty long on this side. So to me, this looks like a 10 by 20. Right? This is a 10 by 20. Now, sometimes in the middle, there's a wall right here that you can take in or out. You could build it. Because I was talking to my husband too the other day. We were driving and talking about something, and he said, "Oh no, oh yeah, that's what it is. We were buying, yeah, and that's what it is. We bought the one that we just closed on a couple of weeks ago, and he's got some like weird shaped sizes that are like 20 by 40s or something like this." And so he was like, oh no, he's like, I'll just get in there and build some walls and like add like different sizes and stuff. And I was like, oh really? You could do that? He's like, oh no, you could do that on any size. You can get in, just like rearrange it if you want to, because it's all metal framing. So you just have to kind of get in there and like just put the walls up. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I told him to take some videos of that. Like when he does change those out, definitely take some videos of that. And then we'll post those on YouTube for everybody to see how he does that. But yeah, so this is that. Let me see. So this is this one. We looked at that. And that's it. Those are the 3 buildings. Okay. This is the 3 buildings here. All right. So let me get out of this. And yeah, so it's just those 3 buildings. And, so not really much else to it. Let me pull up the address. Let me do Miss Lillian's self-storage. Self storage, Warm Springs. It should be on Google Maps. Yeah, here it is. So it's on Google Maps. Okay. So here is Warm Springs. I'm going to just kind of zoom out so you can see where it's at. Okay. And it's in it's in like the, south of Atlanta, really kind of just in the country. Now, Warm Springs is kind of a famous town. If anybody knows Warm Springs in Georgia, Pine Mountain is supposed to be Pine Mountain is a very beautiful area to live in and visit. It's got it's just like a touristy destination. And actually this whole area is really a tourist destination. A lot of people come to this area to do like RV parking and stuff like that, camping and stuff, which is one of the reasons why I did end up buying this. Now, the story behind the storage facilities, the husband actually owned 2 storage facilities. One of them was in Manchester. Manchester has about 6,000 people in it, well, we can look up the population. Who knows? I can't remember anymore. I'm probably lying to you. Manchester, Georgia population. Okay, 4,000 people. And then Warm Springs population. So, it's going up. Look at that, man. I bought it back in the low days here. I bought it when it was like at the lowest. So, okay, so it's going up here now. It's increasing. Lots of people moving out to Warm Springs. And then, let's see, Pine, what was it called? Pine something? I can't remember now. Wait, I was looking here. Pine Mountain. And I've been there before. I can't remember this. I've been camping there. I want to go camp there, check it out. I was like, let's go down there and camp and check this area out. So Pine Mountain, Georgia. Okay, Pine Mountain. And it's really not that very far from each other, so when you're thinking about 1,700 people now, so this area is slowly growing. All right. It's just country. And then there's Shiloh down here as well too. But I think in this area, there's a good, there's a good amount of people in this area. It's like 10,000 people. And there's really not that many storage facilities in this area, honestly. So, unless they've been built, in the last couple of years. But so the wife owned both of them. Actually, the husband owned both of them, and then he died. And then so the wife inherited them when he died, and then she ran it to the ground, really, essentially. And so she held on to them for several years and tried to manage them. And this one in Manchester is actually bigger. It's 150 units or something like that. But it was in this really weird, it's in the downtown Manchester area. And it was right next to this rail yard. And it was right next to this industrial thing. And it was just in a very weird area. And that facility, I don't know if she ever sold it, the one in Manchester. She had it listed for a ridiculous price. And she wanted to sell it, she also wanted to sell me this one, but I told her that I would not pay that. I would pay half of what she had. And I think she had it for 600, and I told her I would pay 250,000 or something for it. And so she said no to that one. And I wonder if she ever sold that one. I'm not sure if she did or not, but I did pick this one up. And so this one here is the one where it's 650 or 60 units. We'll look and we'll see here in just a minute. It's in this little tiny town, downtown area of Warm Springs. And let me see. And so, yeah, here it is. It's just, there's just a little tiny town. Let's go right into here. There it is. Okay. So yeah, you see, oh yeah. So there's the one building. And then here's this building in the middle. And then here's this building. And this is essentially, this is the lot right here. Okay, this is it. And it's totally fenced in and it's gated, but it doesn't have an electronic gate. We never put an electronic gate. The way that she was handling this facility is that it had a gate that you could push open, and then it just had a lock on it, and then it had a code, it had a rate, a circle lock with the code on it. And then if anybody paid, then they would get the code, and she would switch the code every single month. All right. So it's very basic. There's no electricity out here. There's nothing out here. There's nothing. Okay. And just super basic storage facility in a little tiny town in like a little tiny area of Georgia. Okay. So I get the question all the time, can you buy something like this? Is it worth it to buy something like this? It's worth it if the price is right, right? That's my answer. If the price is right, it's worth it. So we can look at, if any of you have any questions too, make sure that you post this into the chat as well. Is there a rule of thumb of how many units can be built on an acre of land? And generally, how many storage units a $1 million facility would have in a secondary and tertiary market? No, not really. But on an acre, if it's a square piece of, Eric, if it's a square piece of land, then you could put 50 units. Okay, if a half of an acre is 50 units, 1 acre is 100 units. I did see one. I'm going to pull up storage here in just a minute, but I did find one storage facility in Georgia that was like perfectly built. Essentially, it was a 2-acre lot, and it had 200 units on it, and it was just like row. It was like perfectly built 2-acre lot, right? So essentially you can go off of that. But typically I never see that because people really don't like do that properly, right? So on average, I mean, if you had a 2-acre lot and really measured it out and like, the what's it called? Not the is it the variance where it's like it's away from the road and stuff, that amount of road, and then you can calculate inside of it. That's called that's not a variance. That's a setback. Sorry. The setbacks of like a 2-acre lot, right, are usually like 10 feet from like the road or something like this. And you probably have setbacks on all sides. So then you have to really calculate how much space do you have within that area to build on, right? So I would say on an acre, on average, 100 units, but it really depends on the setbacks of like how it is. Like, so for instance, like in Atlanta, your setback is like not 10 feet. It's like a ridiculous amount of feet is what it is. Okay. Like 50 feet, or I can't remember how much it is, but it's a lot. So just think about that as well too. Okay. Okay, good. All right. And if you have any other questions, just put in the chat. That's really the best way to go, honestly. Let's stick to the topic though, right? Okay. So Josh asks, why did you not do automatic gates? Because I'm cheap, right? And because it's not in the budget. That's why I didn't do automatic gates, right? So this one at Warm Springs, essentially, they had this for years and years and years and never had automatic gates. And it was, when we bought it, it was 100% full. It was full of other people's crap and nobody was paying, basically, is what it is. And I think out of like whatever amount, we'll look it up and see however many units that we have, but whatever amount of units that it is, like I would say half of those were probably like cousins and family and stuff like this. And none of them were paying at all or something, So she just really basically, they just were typical storage facility mom and pop owners, and they were losing money left and right. And so that's why she really wanted to sell it. And that's what she said, was like, I'm not doing this well. Like, I can't keep up with it. So essentially I just need to hand it off to somebody. And she wanted to sell this facility that we bought. She wanted to sell this for like a lot of money, like $200,000 or something. It was ridiculously priced on the MLS. And so, I had went and looked at it, and I ran the number, and I kind of ran the numbers and looked at it, and I said 125,000. I was like, 125,000 seems like a good number. And so I basically was talking, but then I had my lender go out, and I was talking to my lender about it. And I was like, what do you think about this facility? Should I buy it, or what do you think? And he was like, I wouldn't buy it for any more than like $100,000. He said, try for $100,000. And I said, okay. So I basically told the lady, I said, I'll buy this for $100,000, but that's as much as I'm going to buy this for. And so she agreed to it. She agreed to $100,000, so it kind of worked out in that respect. And it really wasn't for my lender that I would have offered $125,000 and he offered $100,000, which goes to show that, even if you think that you're giving the price, you could always like just try and see what they say, So try to see what the owners say. But yeah, so That's why we still to this day have not put a gate up. Now the gate, the way that it goes, you don't see it in these pictures, but it's just like one of these ones that you just kind of like push and it rolls. Right, it's got that wheel on the bottom and it just like rolls over. And the gate, like when we first got this facility, the gate was kind of in disrepair and we were kind of like fixing it here, fixing it there and stuff. And then in the end, we just like, we got a new gate and we fixed it. So now it's still the same thing. We have not put an electric gate on there or anything like that. It's not in the budget. This is just not one of those facilities that has an automatic gate on it. And there's no reason for us to have it. Oh yeah, and I was going to say, this guy right here that lives here, he's our lawn guy. He's our lawn guy. So he mows the property. And actually he came to us and he said, hey, like we were having a hard time finding a lawn person. And so he's actually the lawn guy there. And he was like, I've noticed you guys haven't been keeping up on this yard. And I was like, oh my God, we're having such a hard time. I was there like one day. I was like, we're having such a hard time trying to find somebody. He's like, I'll mow it for you. I was like, really? Oh my God, that would be so awesome. Please do that for us. And so that was like years ago. And he's been mowing the lawn ever since, keeping it up to date, mowing it, trimming it. We had a whole bunch. It was like all kind of a lot of bushes and it was all really super bushy up here. And he came and just trimmed all those down, cleaned everything up. So he's doing a really good job. And we pay him like whatever on a monthly basis, whatever it is. I can't remember what it is, but it's, it's a typical amount of money that you would pay like a lawn person to. And it's a lot of grass. You can see this is grass, right? You see that? This is all grass. So this is not gravel. This is not asphalt. Like this is grass, so you got to mow it, all the time. So he comes out twice a month and he mows it and cleans it up. Let's see what else about this facility. Okay, so let's get into storage, and then let me just make sure I got all the questions. And yeah, somebody's asking, how much do you have to pay the boots on the ground? The boots on the ground for this goes out goes out once a week, and it's just a local person. Oh no, actually, no, that's not true. The boots on the ground is the same person that manages our other 4 facilities in the area, not really in the area, but kind of sort of in the area. So if you guys know me, you know that I have one in Fayetteville, one in Fairburn, which is right here, one in Newbern, one in Franklin, and then there's the Warm Springs one. Okay. So these 5, one of our boots on the ground person manages. Okay. That's their little portfolio. Okay. And because we try to create many portfolios and we've got facilities, all the way from up here. You see where Pete's at right here, and he was up here. And then we've got facilities down in this area as well, too. So we've got one person to manage these facilities. Actually, we've got one person in Florida, one person in the South Florida, one person in Central Florida, I guess South Central, Atlanta, and then one person in the North. So we've got 5 boots on the ground people. Okay. So that's kind of how it is. And we're in the process right now of buying a couple facilities over in this area. And so we'll probably have to get a different boots on the ground over here as well. All right. So, and then also we're looking at facilities kind of over in this area as well, too. So we'll have to get a boots on the ground person. So our goal is to create many portfolios of 300 units. It could be 2 facilities, for us to be probably 2 facilities or 3 facilities or 4 facilities, right? That's kind of how it is for us. And that is, that's how we do it. All right. So. Because when you sell them as a portfolio, it's stronger than if I just sold this one facility for Warm Springs, by itself, I would not be making, that much money on it, but if I can build 3 or 4 within a 30-minute or 1 hour, drive, then and have 400 units, that makes it so much more stronger. And especially bigger players and stuff, they love bigger portfolios. Okay. All right. Okay. Now let's get into storage. I wanted to show you what this looks like if I can, so where it's at. Now, here's the numbers in storage that I just pulled up. And this is our Warm Springs facility right here. Okay. There it is, Warm Springs. And this is as of today. Now, remember, rent is due on the 1st. And 40% of them, as you can see, have not paid by today. And typically, this is going to be your job when you first buy a storage facility, is like the first week of the month is just like, hey, I haven't paid. Hey, I need your money. Hey, you're texting and you're trying to get everybody to pay. Okay. And as you can see, we're as of right now, we're 76% occupied. That means, like, I looked here, there's 6 vacant. There's 6 units that are vacant right now. And I'm going to tell you why there's 6 units vacant, because we just raised the rates. We literally almost not doubled them, but almost doubled the rates. Okay. So we had a good, from every facility that we doubled the rates on. I mean, we took them from pre-COVID rates to market rates, in the course of, over the course of the last couple of, last year or so. I mean, you just have to, we brought everything up to market value, essentially, is what we did. So we had a handful of people leave, which isn't really that big of a deal, honestly, because we'll get those back. It just takes a little bit of time to get those back. And then there's one unit right here. I see it's black. It's complimentary. So I'm guessing that's the owner's unit, right? Okay. So that's probably where all the stuff, for to take care of the facility, when DJ is a boots on the ground person that goes there, when he goes there, what he needs and stuff. Okay. Probably blower and whatever he does. I'm not sure what he does, what he needs there. Latches and stuff. But okay, so now you can see we have 32 tenants, and we have, so out of these tenants, you can see that a couple of them just moved in, and then one's been there a little bit longer, and then one of them's been 7 of them have been 6 to 12 months. 13 of them are 1 to 2 years. And then 7 of them are 2 years plus. This is the one thing about tertiary market, and is that they do stay quite a long time, honestly. And so when you're raising rents, essentially raising rents in a tertiary market is different from a secondary market, is different from a primary market. Primary market, they're just whenever they feel like it, they could just raise rents, so it's just there's no rhyme or reason. It's just market value's up, let's raise the rents. Okay, we raised it 3 months ago, we can raise it again. Or they could say, we raised it last month, we got to raise it again. Or they could say, let's do it every 6 months. Typically, in a secondary and tertiary market, you're doing, in a secondary market, we're raising our rents every 6 months. In a tertiary market like this, it's anywhere from 6 to 9 months. Okay, just so everybody knows. So this is not pushing and pushing and pushing for increases. Okay. This is really, slow and steady wins the race. Okay. So you can see, so we've got a lot of past due that I'm sure all of our team is calling and texting and emailing. And then, we've got it all set up to remind everybody. But the truth is that most people, they wait to the very last day. I think we charge, I can't remember how we have this set up. Honestly, I don't know if I can even look it up because I have no idea how to look it up. But we probably charge, I can't remember if it's $10 or $20 for a late fee as of maybe today or something. Actually, what we could do is, let's see, units, building, insurance, past due right here, right? We could see, okay, so there's one guy, Barry Brown, that has gone to auction. And then there's a Sierra's going to auction. This one's going to auction. This one's going to auction. So we've got a good handful that are going to auction now. So these right here, and I'm not sure what the story is because I don't really handle all that. But so you can see here, these are auction preps. So they're prepping and they're getting everything ready to cut locks and get everything out. And I'm sure the auction has been already processed. So a lot of times, because it takes a good for the auction to process from the day that you start it until the day the auction actually takes place, typically it's like, I would say minimum of 30 days, if not longer, 60 days. Okay. Because like the way an auction process works is you have to notify the newspaper, and then they only have like certain days that they do auction notices. You know what I'm saying? So like you'll go and you'll say, okay, we're going to do an auction on, August 23rd. And they'll say, oh, well, then you should have notified us by the 7th of August if you wanted to do the 23rd. And it's like, okay, great. Well, when is your next auction? Oh, the next auction that we're going to have is like September 18th now. So it kind of works like that, especially in these little tiny towns, right? So it's not like you can be like, oh, I'm going to auction tomorrow or whatever. Like it takes months for the process to go through, right? Now in like maybe in bigger cities, like where primary markets, they might be doing auctions, like, they might be like posting out auctions all the time. But typically in like little tiny towns, especially little tiny towns like this, or like, tertiary markets and some secondary markets too, like they'll do an auction, maybe like a post of an auction notice, like maybe once or twice a month. And that's it. So like if you're not on top of it, like trying to get it done. So that's why like the auction process is like super important to be like on top of, because like if you miss that date, then like you're screwed until the next month, essentially is how it works, right? So yeah, so that's that. So I think, let me see if there's any questions on the auction process. We go super deep. Pete will go very deep into the auction process and how it's handled in the boot camp on the 24th and the 25th. And so you'll be able to learn all about that. And I'm honestly really not the best person to be talking about anything management, because he really handles all that. But, I can always I do the best I can kind of show you, at least to give you an idea of how it works. All I know is that it takes a long time to do auctions. Now we're on top. We try to be on top of it, because what we do is we go like, and I wish I could figure out in storage how you could see like what we charge. And I know he increased the rents. I mean, not the rents, the fees. Let me see if I can figure out how to find the fees. And he increased the fees, right? At one point we were doing like, if you were late by the 8th, it was $10. When I was running it before Pete came in, this is how we did it. We were on the 8th, you got charged $10. And then on the 15th, that was for like just being late. And then on the 15th, we overlocked you and it was like $25. And then on the 23rd of August, like we started the auction process and that was another $25. So really you could have like a total of $60 in fees. Pete has I'm telling you, Pete has added like a ridiculous amount of fees. Like ridiculous. He has like fees for everything now. So you really, honestly, when you own storage facilities, you make a lot of money on the fees, which is not even accounted into the deal analysis. Like you can't sit there and say, oh, I know I'm going to have this many people or anything like this late, so this is how much money I'm going to make. All right. So you don't really do that in deal analysis. So, but you do, just so you know, you do make a lot of money in fees if you set it up right. Now, he'll go over all that in the boot camp for all the students. Okay, guys, because I'm not sure, but I know he does now. Like, he overlocks on like probably like in the first week of the month. He overlocks. So like, when you're late, like whatever day he says that is a late day. Like if it's like the 6th or like tomorrow's the 6th, then everybody gets overlocked on that day. We don't really wait and go out or whatever. Like, so we're just like, as soon as we're considered them late, they're overlocked and then they get charged for that. I know that for sure. And then the auction process, we start auction process every month for everybody. We email out and let everybody know you are now put into like you could sell the pre-prep or whatever it's called. I'm not sure how their process is, but the pre-prep, and then emails go out through storage reminding them of like, hey, like, just so you know, you are now in the auction process preparatory phase, and we are getting ready to put you down as, going through auction or whatever. And then a lot of people actually start contacting that way. And that's a fee for putting them into the pre-prep phase. And then once they get into the auction phase, and then we have to start doing like certified letters and stuff like that, then that's like a whole nother fee on top of that as well too. So he's really like, he's set it up now where there's like fee after fee after fee, and then like email reminder and text reminders about that as well too. So that's why I wanted to get in and show you the storage stuff. 40% of people, 40% of people not paying or whatever it is that we had, then essentially like this is typical in the first week. And that's why, honestly, another thing too I was going to say is like, you never want to ask somebody for their numbers in like the first week of the month, right? You don't want to know up till now, because the first week it's going to just look horrible, right? Ask for their numbers like in, I would say, the second or third weeks. Let me see those numbers up to the 15th or the 20th of the month, because typically by the 20th of the month, 95% of all people have paid. You know what I'm saying? And you really only actually go to auction for like, a few people and stuff like this, that's really kind of how it works. Okay. And let's see what else. I was going to see if I could show the fees, but let me see. I'm not sure how to do that. Let's see, fees. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Okay, so here's all the fees that he has. He has an admin fee. He has he's got a whole bunch of fees, cleaning and scrubbing fees. These are all the fees that he set up. Chargeback fees, NSF, incomplete contract fee. Oh yeah, if we can't get the people to sign their contracts, then we start charging them for that as well too. Invoice fee, you want an invoice? Oh, it's $3. Cut the lock, move out, online payments, past due, reservation deposits, security deposits, right? So these are kind of all the fees that he has here now. And that's, let's see, service. No, okay. I'm not going to touch anything because I don't want to screw anything up. But inside, when you come to the boot camp, he will show you all that. And then also on top of that, we have like in Coach Accountable in our coaching software, he gives you a list of all the fees. And then on top of that, he gives you the emails of what he uses, right? So like, and then so when you like set your fee up, because essentially you'll have to get into your software and set all that up. And then you'll have to set up all the emails to go with all those, like reminders and stuff. So you have to do all that. It's a lot of work, right? But he gives you all of our emails and stuff as well. So then you could just copy and be like, oh yeah, this is good, or whatever. And like storage gives you like, an ESS and all these softwares, they give you kind of like a generic email, but you have to get in there and tweak it and stuff, right? So, but it's good to just kind of get an idea of like how it works and what we're doing internally inside storage. Okay, what else? Now, so let's see what else we got here. Past due, yield management. I think yield management is where we do all that. Yeah, yield management is for the pricing and stuff. So let's get in here to the website, and then let's click on get pricing. Let me see if we get pricing. What does it look like? A 5x6. How much does it cost? Okay, here they are. Okay, 5x6s are $36. A 10x10 is $75. A 10x14 is $98. A 10x20 is $115. And a 10x50 is $50. Oh, this is parking. Oh yeah, so we have a couple of like little area that we can do parking on. Okay, so let's do the average of this, because I want to see what the price per square foot is. It's got 36 plus 75 plus 75 plus 98 plus 115. Okay, so we got to divide that by 4. 81. So $81 a square foot is where we're at in a tertiary market that has, has a fence that you just push the gate. Now the national average is 88 cents a square foot. And this little tiny facility is 81 cents. All right. And we just raised the rates. I don't know what we raised them for, but we just raised the rates quite a bit, I would say. And, out of those, most people stayed. And now we have 6 that are vacant that we have to fill up. And we will be getting them in at 81 cents a square foot. All right. So even the point of this webinar tonight and to talk is, even though that you're in a little tiny area, you can still charge the money, close to what the national average is. The only state that I see like super low prices in is Missouri. Like for some reason, I see almost every state across the country, all deals, because, we have all of our acquisitions people. And Missouri, for some reason, is like super low. And I really feel like it should be way more. Like it's at 30, 40 cents a square foot. And it should be way more. So people need to start charging more money in Missouri. That's my personal opinion. But most little tiny cities like this, I'm telling you, I've looked at cities all across the country, and you are okay to charge a little bit higher than what you think you can charge in little tiny towns. Okay. And so we're at 81 cents a square foot, and we're getting, slowly getting filled up. And this facility, when we bought it, it was filled with people's crap and nobody was paying. And it took us truckloads and truckloads. We did an auction everywhere. And we auctioned, it took us a couple of months to kind of figure out who the owners were. Half of the owners we couldn't even find. We ended up going to auction for most of the stuff, emptying all the units out. There were a couple of doors, I'd say a good handful, maybe 6 to 8 doors that were just completely broken that we had to fix. And then we got all the bad tenants out. It took us, I would say, at least 4 to 5 dumpsters worth to just we tried to get people to just come take stuff for free, and all this kind of stuff. But in the end, we had to our boots on the ground person and P and a couple other people came in and just dumped everything and just trashed it all. And it took several dumpsters for them to do all that with all of the units that were filled, which is completely typical. Honestly, with all these facilities, almost every facility that we have bought is like this. Even the one that we just bought in Blairsville, this is $1 million property, and the owner himself has so many units full of his own stuff, and he's just sitting there and dumping his stuff. And that was one of the things that we told him, you got to get all your stuff out. And we closed 2 weeks ago, and he's still trying to get all his stuff out. He probably won't have all that out until the end of the year. And we offered to pay him to get all that stuff out. And I was like, why don't we just pay you to help you get all this stuff? He's like, no, I need to go through everything. So, but on this Warm Springs one, essentially, we got dumpsters, we dumped everything, we auctioned everything, we tried to get everything out. And it was a lot of work, honestly. It took us a lot of work and time and effort to get that done. But then after we started slowly filling it up, we used spare foot to fill it up. Right? We put a sign out, but we use spare foot. And, in that area, there's only a few facilities that come up for spare foot. So we were one of the ones that got that filled up pretty good. And this was back a couple of years ago. So I'm not sure how spare foot is doing now, but we use that. And now let's look and see what we're doing here. So now we're just slowly filling it up again after we raise the rates. Trying to make some money on it. I think what I could do, I bought this facility for $100,000. So let's try to see what we're making on it. Okay, I'm going to share my screen real fast. We're going to do a deal analysis on it so you guys can just get an idea of what it is that we're doing. And me too. Let me share my screen. Hang on, I can't. So actually what we're going to do is first things first, we're going to get into, I'm going to measure the square footage on this. Okay. Yeah. So here it is. So we'll just click this building here and we're going to measure this. Oops, I didn't click it right. Let me just zoom in a little bit here so it's a bit clear. I'm right clicking and then just going to measure the the square footage. That's 1,500 square feet. We'll do 2 buildings. That's 3,000. And this one's like a little bit skinnier. Oops, let's clear this. Let's just go right here. It looks about right here. So that's another 1,000 square feet. So that's four. So yeah, that's right. It's 4,000 square feet. It's 4,000 square feet is what it is. Okay. So let's get back into the deal analyzer. And we had 4,000 square feet. Oh yeah, so 4,000 square feet. And then how many doors is it? It's kind of a smaller facility. So let me see if I can figure out in storage what it is. Hang on just 1 sec. Yeah, that's good. It's got 45 doors. Yeah, 45 doors is what it's got. Okay, so 45. And let's see, I'm making, let's see. Let's look this up and see. It is making, calculate this, 40, okay. Okay, so it's making 36.45 a month times 12. So 43,740. 43,740 is what it's make, okay? Let's put that in the deal analyzer, 43. I'm going to put that as full, actually. I'm going to put that as what the number is full. And then the vacancy, we have 6 units vacant. So what's the percent? Oh yeah, it said 76. So we're like to say 25% vacant. Okay. We bought it for 100,000. This is like, this number's not correct. Let's change this to an 8 cap. Let's just say we bought it at an 8 cap. We don't know what this price per square foot is. We don't know what this number is yet. Okay, so because we don't know what the competition is. This is where you put like the number where the competition is going to be, like what you're going to be able to increase it to. So we can't look at that. We can only look at current as is. Actually, we can look at current and potential. Okay, so we can see now that, and these numbers look about right. There's no utilities there, but I'll just leave that there. Insurance and property taxes are about $1,200. And when you get into the deal analyzer, and everybody, all my students that are going to show up to the mastermind tomorrow, you'll be able to see this. But this is a formula, right? So that's why the numbers, this is correct, right? So we're paying about $1,200 a month for this. And so it's valued right now at around $320,000 at an 8 cap. All right. And its potential, if we fill it up, is $444,000. Okay, if that makes sense. So it's actually a pretty good deal. I mean, there's 45 units, 4,000 square feet. We do have some, 5x10s, or I think, a couple of like weird sizes. But so that's why the number comes out a little bit different. But typically, the most of them are 10x10s or 10x20s. It's just that one row kind of in the back has a couple of like 5x10s there. So yeah, so it's valued at $320. It's a potential, if we get it full, is at $444. And then the cash on cash, yeah, you could see that at $100,000, our cash on cash is at almost 50%. And we actually got this, we borrowed the money, interest only. We got a 0 down payment. So he just gave me $100,000, my lender, 10% interest. It's a 5-year loan. And, there's no amortization over 5 years. Yeah. So we're paying $833 a month. That's exactly what we're paying. So yeah, so our cash on cash is $832,000. That's funny, 832%, right? So our target net after mortgage is 59 or 60%. So honestly, this is a pretty good deal. I'm doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good on this one. Actually, we just need to get it filled up again because we did raise the rates up is what we did. Now, can I sell this for a lower cap rate? I'm not sure. If I sell this as a package, I totally could sell this for a lower cap. We may just throw this into the one that we're going to sell. If we could get it filled up, it's worth $500,000. I don't know if we could raise the rates or not. We could just leave this there. So I'm saying it's worth at least $500,000. Is what I'm going to say, at a 7 cap or at an, what would y'all do? Would y'all think it's a 7 cap or an 8 cap? I don't know. Okay, what's the name of the program that you use to manage your tenants? That's called Store Edge. We use Store Edge, but there's a lot of softwares out there. So I would just get demos of all of them. You just pick whichever one you want. Now, Storage, I'm going to tell you, is the best because it's the one that you can use to automate everything. I've done demos of every software out there, and Storage is really one of the very few that you can really automate everything in. Okay, but it is kind of more on it's not the most expensive. Even the most expensive ones out there, like, don't do what Storage does. So I really kind of love Storage. Jason says, will some areas have online automated auctions? That's when I say automation, all of our auctions are online now. Now in the beginning, when we did all those and like all the ones that we're doing, but Storage automates all of your auctions, and they use like a storage auction company to do that online. All right. And it's automatically connected through API, and then it's managed that way. So when you saw all those auctions coming up, that's because Storage is managing all that for us. Okay. We just have to say, yes, auction this one, and then it does like whatever it does, which Pete will get into, Jason, for the bootcamp. Okay, good. Is there a resource that shows which markets are secondary and tertiary? What's the determining factor? For me personally, it's population. That's secondary and tertiary. I'm huge on population, and that's really what the per square foot. I mean, the square foot per capita is based off of like, the population of the area and the total square footage. It's your total square footage of the entire area divided by the population of the area, right? The key is trying to figure out what the total square footage is, because some of those are on Google Maps and some of those are not. That's the hard part. Okay. Do you charge a daily late fee when they don't pay on the first? We do not charge a daily late fee. I think he charges he charges like once a week. He has some sort of fee that he comes up with. And yeah, so Arielyn posted out about the podcast. She posted out about, Storage Nerds, about the course. If you don't want to have a coach and you want to just DIY, do it yourself, highly recommend that you do the course. And as of today, we just updated the Dill Analyzer to version 3, Dill Analyzer in the course. All right, so you don't get this Dill Analyzer that you saw, because only my students, this is version 4. Only my students get this one in the mastermind, but you will get version 3, which is what all my students used up until actually tomorrow when I release it. Okay, so you do have that. So that, and then she put a link in for a $1,000 off the course. So if you want to just DIY, do it yourself, and you don't want to come and pay all the money to get like a coach, then I highly recommend that you do that. And she posted that link out. Let's see. Any other questions as I was going to go? Yeah, boots on the ground is typically a couple $100 a month. It's really not that much money until you start getting big like me, and then you start paying like a lot of money and stuff. But like for this type of facility, you could probably pay like $200 a month, and somebody would be your boots on the ground person. Okay. I own an 80,000 square foot warehouse in Macon. What's the possibility of a JV with someone or a company to convert it to self-storage? Just post it out in the Facebook group. We have our Facebook group, Super Simple Self-Storage. Everybody should be a part of this. Make sure you join, and then post that question out. Say, look, I have this thing. I have this building. Would anybody be interested in partnering? And then start. Actually, what you could do right now too is just start getting quotes on that. Proposals. I mean, proposals are free on how much it would cost. Now, the thing is that still's coming down, and I got to jump off, but still's coming down. So this time next year, I think still prices are going to be a lot better. So that might be something that you may want to hold off on until this time next year. But, but start looking at prices and just start preparing so that when you do find somebody that would be interested in working with you, that you'd be like, look, here's my proposal. This is my presentation. These are the numbers. This is what we're going to do. So you look like you know what you're talking about. All right. I will see everybody at the next session. I got to jump off to the pitch, stacyrossetti.com/fund if you want to be just like a passive investor. All right. I'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Storage Nerds. Hope this informative conversation inspired you to go out there and jump into this highly profitable business venture that people rarely talk about. Get more tips on storage space investing at www.stacyrossetti.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let's build that thriving passive income one storage space at a time. Until next time.